Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a great show for y'all. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. My handle is CTABANZ. I'm cracking up because it's a conversation I was just having a few minutes ago before shooting. But anyway, let's get into today's video. So as y'all know, Shannon Sharpe was having at least a challenging year, given the fact the lawsuit he was hit with, a $50 million lawsuit that they ultimately settled out of court, and then subsequently being fired from ESPN. That's one that just kind of exacerbated the problems he was having. And then you have him kind of like reacting to people like Ray Lewis, who used to be his friend, make some comments about him here and there, and we reacted to that, blah, blah, blah. So I woke up this morning, and I came across a clip from Poetic Flacco. Shout out to him. His channel was blown up quickly because he's doing a great job over there with what he's doing. So he came out with a show with the headline saying, "Steve Harvey just crashed out on Shannon Sharpe badly, laughing my ass off." So I immediately tuned into the video to hear what Poetic Flacco was talking about. Now, as you guys know, Steve Harvey was actually one of the guests on Shannon Sharpe's show, Club Shay Shay, a number of years ago. He was there, some other people there as well, but he was there as well. But then Cat Williams went on there, and he broke the internet with that interview. I don't know how many views is it now, maybe 70 million views, I don't know. But he was there, and he went off on everybody. And one of the people he took aim at was Steve Harvey. And he just went off on him, right? And everybody was reacting to it. And I think Monique came next, and I think she went at Steve, if my memory serves me right. I don't remember properly, but I remember that, right? And I remember Steve Harvey at the time made some comments here and there, but I don't remember what he said. So Poetic Flacco was playing this interview that Steve Harvey did on the Pivot podcast with Ryan Clark and these guys. And essentially what Steve Harvey was saying was that, look, whenever you create a situation where people trash you and all of this stuff, you dilute your brand and negative things start happening, right? And he may be referring to the things that happened with Shannon Sharpe years later. So what we want to do is we want to play what Steve Harvey had to say on the Pivot podcast to Ryan Clark and these guys, and then want to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Steve Harvey had to say here about Shannon Sharpe.
Y'all got a podcast and you're doing it brilliantly. Please don't stop doing the way you do. See, the problem with people is they get something that work and then they want to find something that work better. You ain't got to fix it if it ain't broke. See, I'm on radio for real. I have a real radio show. I have the #1 adult contemporary show, 25 to 54 in America. The Steve Harvey Morning Show. I'm at 112 markets. I got 9 million listeners. I'm controlled by FCC rules. The problem is, these people go get these podcasts who have no FCC rules to abide by. But you have to remember, even though you're on a podcast, you still got a brand.
Yeah.
And so you can't say what you want to say and expect to be relevant and not get canceled. You can't have a podcast and the way that you think you can make money is on clicks and views at the expense of others and not expect to have to pay the expense. You can't have a podcast and light me up and don't expect to get lit up. You can't have a podcast, let somebody come on your show and talk about your friends.
I agree.
Okay, you got a podcast. Y'all got a guest on here. And he starts slamming Fred. He knows something about Fred, happened in the past, will lie or not, and just starts slamming Fred. Y'all got to shut that down.
Yeah.
Because this your brother. You got to protect him. And you got to protect the brand. They don't do that no more. So you come on my show, you spread all these lies about some people that I call my so-called friends, and I just let you sit there and check it. And because your podcast had so many views on that right there, your next guest is the same type of guest. Because now you want your money to be made off clicks and views at somebody's expense. Well, now guess what? You got to pay for that. Because once you put it out in the universe that I want clicks and views, the universe does not differentiate. It just give you clicks and views. So now, here they come the rest of them. And now you got clicks and views.
Mm-hmm.
My question to that, though, is there was the podcast, and there was a comedian who talked about you. And you waited a while before ever responding to Cat Williams.
Mm-hmm.
But when you responded, it felt like there was a lot more vitriol to your response than it was all of the initial accusations. Why do you think the response to what you said was so different from what he said on Shannon's show?
When you say vitriol, what you mean?
The social media fodder was upset with you for the way you finally responded to him.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned his height and what you could do if there was ever an altercation. They said they felt like what he said about you was true because of the nature of your reaction.
Oh, well, see, first of all, I ain't really good at social media, so I didn't even know that was out there. But they can, like, really kiss most of the corners of my ass when you say stuff like that. First of all, man, let me say this.
So you heard what Steve Harvey had to say. What are my initial thoughts about this? First of all, let me say this in the defense of Shannon, because I've been hard on him for some time now. What Shannon experienced after that Cat Williams interview was a whole new level of fame that I think he'd ever experienced ever in his life. And it sounds crazy talking about a former Super Bowl winner and Hall of Fame football player. The amount of notoriety it brought him and visibility was unlike anything I think he's ever experienced. It was the biggest interview, is the biggest interview in the history of YouTube. The biggest one, right? It broke the internet. And if we now start counting up the clips and the aggregate views, it must be well over 250 million views, maybe 300 million views. If you now start going on different, maybe 400 million, I don't know, right? It was just an absolute insane amount of views. And what that brought was a lot of attention. And I think it brought a new level of success to Shannon that he had never experienced. And everybody had something to say. And I think what happened was Shannon now fell into the trap of doing what worked and trying to replicate it. So he then started going after other comedians to come on the show and basically trash other people. And that's what Steve Harvey is referring to. He says, because now you created a situation where people are now coming to your podcast to trash people, right? And now you're reaping what you're sowing, because he's saying originally you had a successful show, very successful show. And let's say that Cat Williams interview was a one-off. But now you started to try to repeat the formula again, and it was always at the expense of other people. And they said, ultimately, you have to pay the price. Those are his words to paraphrase, right? So I get what Steve Harvey's saying, but I also understand that Shannon Sharpe was just, he was in a new frontier. Okay, he was in a new frontier. He had broken new ground, right? So he had never been there before, and I'm sure that he learned from those errors and probably won't do that again, right? A lot of people also upset with Shannon because he kind of allowed Cat to just go at everybody. He couldn't stop him. And Shannon would probably argue me not interrupting him is the reason why we know so much of what he thinks about all of these people. But I think this is what Steve Harvey's saying. I don't think that Harvey is bitter about this at all. I think Steve Harvey is obviously a very wealthy man living a fantastic life. So I don't think he's sour, like, oh man, I don't appreciate it. When you're doing very well, you seldom kind of hold grudges and let things like this bother you. You just go on to live a successful life, and it is what it is. But you could still tell that it was something that was still lingering on his mind. Hence the reason he took the opportunity to address it when brought up. And I think he makes some fair points. But also I think we got to kind of afford Shannon some grace, because at the time, it's not something he was used to. All right, it's simply not. I mean, who can handle that kind of success well? I think, and after some time, he started feeling like he was being attacked from everywhere. He was, this guy saying this about me, that guy saying this about me. So I understand. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.